A young and beautiful policewoman mysteriously disappeared in an underground parking lot. 2 days later, she was found deceased under violent circumstances in a remote mountain. Her body was buried, and she had suffered inhuman assault before her death. What exactly did she go through? Who is the murderer? How dare they openly harm a police officer? At 1 a.m. on October 8, 2010, the on-duty personnel at the Qianqian County Public Security Bureau in Wenzhou City, Zhejiang Province, received a distress call. The caller reported that her sister-in-law, Wang Qianqian, had left home at around 5 p.m. on October 7th to pick up her daughter in a white BMW X1 SUV. Later, Wang's daughter returned home alone, but Wang herself never came back. Her phone was turned off. Normally, Wang would inform her family if she was going to be late, but this time, her family couldn't reach her at all. After a brief discussion, they quickly called the police. Upon receiving the report, the police immediately verified the identity of Wang Qianqian. After an investigation, the police realized the gravity of the case, because Wang was no ordinary citizen. She was a police officer at the Qianqian County Public Security Bureau. Known for her striking looks, she was referred to as the most beautiful officer in the local bureau. According to her colleagues, Wang was highly competent. She could quickly analyze, reason, and solve complex cases. Moreover, her extensive training at the police station had equipped her with the ability to remain calm under pressure. Therefore, her sudden disappearance was highly suspicious, and her colleagues feared she might have met with foul play. The police immediately launched an urgent investigation, hoping to find her as soon as possible. Since Wang had left home claiming she was going to pick up her daughter from school, the police started their investigation there. However, after reviewing surveillance footage near the school, the police found that Wang had never arrived that day, a fact later confirmed by the school staff. The police then turned to the surveillance footage from Wang's home. The footage showed that Wang had returned to home in the evening before driving away again. However, the direction she took was not toward her daughter's school. Where did Wang go? By reviewing road surveillance footage, the police discovered that the car Wang was driving had headed straight toward Fujian Province. Even more shocking was that upon closer inspection of the footage, the person in the driver's seat was not Wang but a man, with 2 other strange men in the back seat. Clearly, this was a coordinated kidnapping. After analyzing the facial information from the footage, the police identified the 3 kidnappers as Shi Chengsan, Ye Changfeng, and Wu Qingcha. At the time of the crime, they were 33, 25, and 41 years old, respectively. Despite their age differences, they shared a common trait. All 3 had been imprisoned multiple times for kidnapping and theft, with a combined total of 18 criminal records. After being released, they had returned to their criminal ways. Their extensive criminal histories filled the police with a sense of foreboding. Since the suspects had fled across provincial lines, the Qianqian County Police contacted the Fujian Police for assistance. Through the joint efforts of both police forces, the suspects were eventually tracked down in Fujian City, Fujian Province. In the early hours of October 9, the police successfully intercepted Wang's BMW and apprehended the suspects inside. However, Wang was missing, and one of the suspects was found carrying Wang's personal belongings. This led the police to suspect that Wang might have already been killed. Under police interrogation, the 3 kidnappers confessed to abducting and killing Wang. But why did they target Wang? Did they have some deep-seated grudge against her? As the interrogation continued, the truth gradually came to light. On the afternoon of October 7, 2010, Shi Jingzan and his 2 accomplices were walking dejectedly down the street. Prior to this, they had been tracking a woman driving a Porsche for several months, hoping to get money from her. However, they had failed to find the right opportunity to strike. So they had to abandon their target and look for a new one. As they wandered the streets, they happened to see Wang Qianqian driving past in her BMW. Watching her enter an underground garage, the trio began to scheme. They figured that someone driving a BMW must be wealthy, So they followed the car into the garage and waited nearby. To their delight, they didn't have to wait long before Wang returned to the garage. As she opened her car door, the three men seized her and forced her into the car. Xi Jingzhan then drove Wang's car away from the scene. Once inside the car, the three men forced Wang to hand over her cash and bank cards. Faced with their threats, Wang, drawing on her professional experience, complied and handed over her belongings. She even provided the PIN for her bank card, hoping they would release her after taking the money. For Wang, material possessions were trivial compared to her life. The three criminals successfully obtained 1,870 yuan in cash and withdrew 2,700 yuan from Wang's bank account. However, Wang underestimated their greed. Having targeted a wealthy woman driving a luxury car, they were dissatisfied with only a few thousand yuan and were unwilling to let her go. The men tied Wang up with ropes they had brought. While searching her pants pocket, they felt what seemed like a card holder, which excited them. At first, they thought it was a hidden wallet, but upon pulling it out, they were stunned. What they found was not a wallet, but a police officer's ID. This realization filled them with hesitation and fear. They knew that if their victim were an ordinary woman, there was a chance she might not report the crime. However, kidnapping a police officer was an entirely different matter, and they would face severe legal consequences. Moreover, the three men realized that they had distinctive physical features. One had a stutter and another had a hand disability. They knew the officer would remember these traits, making it easy for her to identify and capture them. Thus, they decided that the only way to eliminate the risk was to kill Wang. The three men drove Wang to Fuan. When they reached a remote area at the border of Qizhen's Fengtong village and Wuyang village, they found a secluded spot. Ye Changfeng and Wu Zhengcha got out of the car and, after searching the fields, found a shovel and began digging a hole. Xi Jingzhan stayed in the car to control Wang. After digging the hole, the men, now resolved to kill Wang, began to calm down. Seeing Wang's beauty, Xi Jingzhan felt a surge of lust. He thought that since Wang wouldn't survive anyway, he might as well satisfy his desires before killing her. Despite Wang's desperate pleas, Xi Jingzhan lied, saying he would consider letting her go if she complied. Hearing this inhuman demand, Wang felt angry. However, thinking of surviving and returning to her daughter, she endured Xi Jingzhan's assault. After satisfying his lust, Xi Jingzhan did not keep his promise. He and his accomplices threw her into the hole they had dug and buried her alive. In despair, Wang continued to beg for her life, appealing to their humanity by crying out, "My child cannot lose her mother." However, the cold and cruel men ignored her pleas. They used a rope to strangle Wang until she stopped breathing, then threw her body into the hole. To ensure she was dead, they used a shovel to inflict fatal injuries, ultimately ending her life. After learning the details of the crime, the police located the crime scene in Fujian province, and with the suspect's guidance, found Wang's body buried in the ground. When Wang's family saw the tragic state of her remains, they were overcome with grief. Meanwhile, Wang's colleagues were also heartbroken by her fate, as she was not only a wife and mother, but also an outstanding police officer. Wang Qianqian was born in Sangnan County in 1973. During her school years, she was an excellent student, both academically and morally. With her striking appearance and outgoing personality, she was well liked by her classmates and teachers. From a young age, Wang aspired to be an upright person, and becoming a police officer was her lifelong dream. To achieve this, she studied investigation at the School of Political Science and Law after high school, where she gained a solid theoretical foundation. After graduating, Wang returned to her hometown and joined the Sangnan County Public Security Bureau as a police officer. She specialized in investigating economic crimes. Thanks to her exceptional skills, she quickly solved numerous cases, including the serial fraud case in Fanshan, Sangnan, Zhejiang Province. In the serial fraud case, criminals used the organization of civil mutual aid to defraud a large number of public loans, involving over 200 million yuan and 15 suspects. Despite the complexity of the case, Wang successfully cracked it, showcasing her outstanding professional abilities. At work, Wang was a capable and dedicated officer. In her personal life, she had a happy family. Her husband was the deputy mayor of a local town, and her father-in-law was a well-known entrepreneur. Wang and her husband had a daughter, and the family lived a blissful life. However, no one could have imagined that this accomplished police officer would meet such a tragic end at the hands of ruthless criminals. In contrast to Wang's bright life, the three perpetrators were notorious for their criminal behavior. Before the case, the three men were idle and unemployed. To make easy money, they devised a perfect plan: target wealthy, single women driving luxury cars and rob them when they were alone. Starting in late September 2010, the trio began executing their plan. To avoid detection, they rented a car to roam the streets. According to police statistics, the three men attempted to rob wealthy single women 7 times, failing 4 times and succeeding 3 times. In the 3 successful attempts, they robbed 3 women, assaulted 2, and killed 1, whose body was dumped in a remote area. In other words, Wang was not their only victim. On the morning of May 5, 2011, the Wenzhou Intermediate People's Court in Zhejiang Province publicly announced the verdict in the Qianqian policewoman case. The court found that the defendants, Shi Zhengzhan, Yi Changfeng, and Wu Zhengcha, had conspired to use violence to rob others of their property, intentionally and unlawfully deprive the victim of her life to eliminate witnesses, and committed criminal assault. Therefore, the 3 defendants were sentenced to death for multiple crimes. During the trial, the 3 criminals who had once been so bold wept and begged for leniency. Yi Changfeng claimed to be a descendant of a martyr, hoping the law would show mercy. Shi Zhengzhan pleaded that he had an 80-year-old mother and a young child to support, begging the judge to spare his life. However, their insincere pleas did not sway the judge. On June 21, 2012, they were executed. In this case, a policewoman who should have been serving the public lost her life due to the cruel acts of criminals. It is truly heartbreaking. However, this case also serves as a warning to women driving alone. When in an underground parking lot, always be aware of your surroundings and check for suspicious individuals. Additionally, keep self-defense tools in your car for emergencies. After all, society is complex, and it's better to be prepared than to regret later. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this case, don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow Case Diaries. There are plenty more cases coming your way. Got thoughts on today's story? Drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you think. See you in the next one.